Alright, what's going on YouTube? So today I have the DSG in front of me, and sadly the motor that I was using crapped out. I have no idea if you can see me because I'm using my helmet cam and I kind of have to look a little bit lower than I normally would, but my motor crapped out on me, and luckily I'm still within the return policy time for e-bike, so I sent that in today, and I'm hoping to get a replacement sometime within a week or so. Or no, it would be 2 weeks, because it would take them a week to get it, and then a week for them to send it back out to me. But anyways, other than the motor, I'm looking too high now, other than the motor being a problem, other than the motor crapping out, I have a very big FPS problem, to where this thing it's not shooting too hot to be used at the new place that I go to. It's shooting really low, and I have two things that I believe are my problem. I don't want to say it's an air seal problem, because my compression in the cylinder head and between the nozzle are perfect, but I do know that between the piston head and inside the cylinder, if you push straight in, then you get good seal, but if you're off just a little bit, you get a massive air leak. So I feel like I might need to switch out cylinder heads, or if we pop this front receiver pin off, I'm just gonna set this down over here, and we look at where the nozzle's sitting right now. This nozzle is resting. The piston is all the way forward, but the sector gear is sitting back with the it's just in its resting position, and the nozzle is actually pretty far back. And so my other thing that I think could be the problem is that the nozzle is not staying forward long enough to match up with the hop-up bucking to get a good, or push enough air through the barrel. Because through that tiny barrel, I am only getting, I'll even show you what I've done, because I've done some stuff to the barrel to try to get a better air seal. But through this tiny barrel that comes with the Fighting Cat front, I've done the Teflon tape mod to the top-up bucking, so that it keeps, you guys can't see that at all, so it keeps this air, so it keeps this right here sealed, so that way all the air comes in, and it has to go from here and out. It doesn't go in, and nothing can escape from the top out. And even doing that, I'm still getting the low 200s. And I'm not kidding when I say low 200s. I mean either 200 on the nose or 213 FPS. Short barrel, so I'm not getting like an undervoluming issue. But I'm just trying to get this into place for you guys to be able to see it, because it's a short barrel. And these DSGs, the 8-tooth, are supposed to be able to do up to a 323 millimeter barrel, and that one's how. And so I know if anything, I'd be getting an overvoluming issue, and I would have an overage in FPS, but I'm not, and it's throwing me off. I don't know why it's doing this. So I'm going to start taking this thing apart, and we shall see what happens. I need to get up and go get a screwdriver, but I will be back once I've got it down to just the gearbox, and I'll show you what I've got. Alright guys, so here is the internals of the DSG, and yes, I know this doesn't look like the usual Siege Tech DSG where it's got the where it's usually just a full black sector gear, but this is the one you get in the Cyclone set, and these are the 14-to-1 spur and bevel gear. But here's what I was talking about earlier with the piston, is that if you take this and push straight in, you get almost a perfect compression seal. But if you take this and you push it, so like I'm guessing that when it's being pushed in by the spring, it tries to push as straight as possible, but it gets thrown off just a little bit. Or no, it can't do that because it's on the rails, and the rails would hold it in, pushing it forward all the way. And so my other thing to test while I have this out would be while the nozzle is extended forward, and we're just going to extend it a little bit past where it would normally sit, right there. And see, even there we're getting a good, moderately good. We have a small air leak coming from the nozzle tip, but that's also sitting farther forward than where it would if it was extended. If it was extended, usually it'd be about there, and yeah, that was a good enough seal to pop the piston head out. But I do want to look at something here for a second. So if we set this in place where it's supposed to sit, so that's supposed to sit right there. If that rests on that right there, where are we gauging it? I mean, somebody test here. I'll get a light, but somebody correct me if that's no, it's a little bit past the 1 o'clock or noon. So should I budge that forward a little bit more? See, now this comes to my where I think my nozzle's sitting too far forward. Wow, that's real bright for you guys. But the where the sector gear is hitting or engaging the pickup tooth off of the servo, it's a little bit it's like 11:55 if you were to look at it at a clock, at where the first tooth of the sector gear is. So I'm almost thinking, do I cut a little bit off of this servo so it sits forward a hair bit more? Where does my, if that's home plate, if that's where that's supposed to be sitting at home, how's the back of the sector chip look? Actually, it looks pretty good. You guys can't see jack. I'm sorry if it's dark. Video quality wise, just GoPro does not like to record at this low of lighting. So let's put that right there, and that's pushed forward all the way, and see, now you guys won't be able to see this, I almost guarantee it, but see where my chip is? It is behind here. So if we push this back a little until we see our chip, alright, fine. I've kind of ground away a little bit, but if that wasn't where it was like right there. And see, that's where we sit back. So I almost want to get in here at the Dremel and try to make this a little bit more angled back, because this tappet plate feeds fine. Okay, so right there would be all the way back, and as you can see, that's all the way back on. You guys can't see jack shit, But as you can see, with this being, where's my little screwdriver gone? Alright, fine, we'll use the Leatherman. But with this being, see that a little bit better? Yeah, alright. With this delay chip, or not a delay chip, but with the chip right here being pushed back at this point, we're held back all the way. And then by the time this tooth slips off, we're still on the last 3 teeth of, you guys can't see that, I'm trying to look back and forth between the capture and everything else, but it's the last 2 teeth that have a hold of the piston as the tappet plate pushes forward. And so with that, I would think I'd have enough time for this to come forward, because my tappet plate spring here, I have shortened 5 coils, which I know sounds like a lot, but it makes it nice and responsive, and I was hoping that'd be my thing. But if the piston head isn't veering off course at all because of the rails that are there, the only thing that I can think left is the resting spot where it sits back at about here, and it doesn't want to give the nozzle enough time to press up against the bucking, and that loses my FPS. I don't know. I guess I can try it, Dremel out that tappet plate a little bit more, and then wait till my motor gets here and hope to God that fixes it, because this is one of my last tappet plates. I have one more stock SHS tappet plate, and I can only hope that that gets here. But some of the modifications that I've done, other than the Sorbo mod and the tappet spring, is on the trigger here. I have uncoiled one spring on the trigger to give it a little bit lighter trigger pull while still having enough power to reset it off of the cutoff lever. And on the trigger contacts here, I have added solder to the top so I can get a more positive connection. So I'm going to cut down this tappet plate and try not to get rid of that bump so I can still pull it back all the way, and wait on my motor to show up. Because what was powering this before that ASG CNC motor was a Lonex A1, and then I like that motor because it was a good motor for a stock gearbox drop-in if you wanted to upgrade it, but it just got so hot so fast for no reason that I could tell, and I switched it out, and that ASG, it just vented a whole lot better. It got hot still, but it vented better, and it did not get anywhere as hot or as fast as that Lonex motor did. Now another thing I might try is, I have another one of these GMP full cylinders, and I might try and switch out the cylinders and see if I can't get a better seal. And I do have another cylinder that's a G&G ported cylinder, which I think I could use because I don't think the piston gets pulled back far enough to go to the port. But I'm going to try these full cylinders first. So other than the small problem that I'm having, this is the internals for the DSG. So it's a SiegeTech 14:1 dual sector gear set, a full set, a stock GMP wiring harness, 16 gauge silicone wire, and yes, I know that there are 2 red leads in here at my negative lead got cut by the Lonex pinion gear, and so I ran out of black silicone wire and I just used red. But the I can still tell the difference because my negative has a gold terminal, my positive has a silver terminal. But then it's got the signal wire to the gate with the 2-wire method to the trigger contacts, and just the all the wire to the motor going straight off of the battery. So that's about it. And compression parts other than this piston head, I did have a GMP piston, but now I have a G&G piston because I was honestly getting a little bit better air seal with the stock G&G piston head than I was with the GMP piston, but I think I still might switch it out. But this is a SHS 15 tooth aluminum pre-lightened piston, and I have it short stroked to the necessary amount of teeth for the DSG, and this very back tooth almost completely removed, this second tooth about a third of the way removed, and then the rest of them are the same.